Tonight, politicians running for office in Virginia Beach met face-to-face with the people they're hoping to represent.
Candidates for the 2nd Congressional District and City Council had the opportunity to introduce themselves and answer a few questions at a public forum. 13 News Now reporter Robert Boyd was there.
Well, tonight we focused our coverage on the 2nd Congressional District race between incumbent Scott Taylor, Sean Brown, and Elaine Luria. Now, Luria criticized Taylor for being a no-show, while Brown was asked about her ongoing legal battle. Most political candidates say they are looking forward to November, but Sean Brown says she's actually looking forward to October. That's when she hopes her name is finally cleared in court.
When you fight to make this government do what it should do for each of you, you do realize that people are going to fight back. So I'm quite confident that my name will be vindicated.
Last year, the independent candidate was indicted on felony fraud charges in regard to the federal summer feeding program. Brown's organization, Jobs Virginia Community Development Corporation, accepted more than $800,000 in federal money in one summer, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, who believes those numbers are fraudulent.
It was, and always will be about the fact that we're fighting child hunger, playing by the rules.
Fellow candidate, Democrat Elaine Luria, highlighted her 20 years in the Navy.
What makes the Navy go is the people. And as a leader in the Navy, I felt that my job was to create an environment for those people to succeed. The same applies in our communities.
Both candidates were asked what they think about professional athletes choosing to kneel during the national anthem.
So I support everyone in their consciousness. If you want to kneel, kneel. If you want to stand, stand. So I believe it's an individual choice.
And I think that it is someone's right to protest, whether that be standing or taking a knee or marching. That is inherent to what we believe in.
Luria also brought up the fact that incumbent Republican Scott Taylor chose not to attend the forum.
Our current congressman is not here tonight and has not held town halls in over 530 days. So that's unacceptable. I pledge to hold town halls on a regular basis.
Now, 13 News Now reached out to Scott Taylor's office about why the representative did not attend tonight. They did not get back to us. Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
Developing now, 2 men are in the hospital with serious injuries after someone shot them. It happened on Lexington Drive in Portsmouth less than 2 hours ago. Police have not released any additional information about this case. Now, around that same time, police say 2 adult men walked into CHKD with gunshot wounds. We do not know how seriously they were injured. Investigators are still trying to figure out where they were shot. We will update you on this case as we learn more about the situation.
Right now, Virginia Beach police are asking for your help finding this man, Ryan Schoolcraft. Police believe he may be in danger, but they aren't saying why. We're told he's 6 feet tall, about 160 pounds, with blue eyes, brown hair. Police say he was last seen near Kempsville and Princess Anne Roads riding a mountain bike and wearing a black hat with black pants. If you know where he is, call police.
Developing in Virginia Beach, the suspect accused in a stabbing that prompted an officer-involved shooting is out of the hospital tonight. Police tell us Sean Trina Fountain wasn't actually shot Friday, but she was hurt when investigators say she lunged at a police officer with a knife. That officer opened fire. Fountain is expected to be arraigned tomorrow. She was supposed to make a video appearance in court today, but the sheriff's office says she refused to cooperate.
Tonight, work on a 10-foot tall fence around a low-income apartment complex is continuing. That's despite a call from a civil rights group to stop it. This is at the London Oaks Apartments in Portsmouth. The regional manager says the fence will improve the look, enhance safety, and reduce foot traffic in the neighborhood. But the NAACP president calls it dehumanizing. The complex did get a permit from the city to build that fence.
It's a story that has a lot of people talking tonight. 2 Virginia Beach police officers have been found responsible for their role in India Kager's shooting death 3 years ago. 13 News Now reporter Chanu Her looked at what happens next if they decide to appeal. Chanu.
Yeah, Regina, this certainly is going to be a lengthy process should the city attorney and officers choose to appeal. A local attorney tells me there are multiple steps to this. After a jury ruled 2 Virginia Beach officers were liable in the death of India Kager, the deputy city attorney Christopher Boynton says they would look to appeal the decision and that this case was far from over. Local attorney Ed Booth says that process could take several months to complete once a petition is brought to the Virginia Supreme Court. It'd start with one of two phases. The first one, proving to the Virginia Supreme Court why they should consider the appeal in this case.
And the Virginia Supreme Court will then consider that petition and decide whether or not to grant a writ. And a writ basically is saying that we're going to hear the appeal.
Then the second part comes if a writ is granted.
At that point, the Supreme Court will then consider the merits of the case. And that's part two, and where they'll actually make a decision about winners and losers and errors in the trial court.
Booth says an appeal doesn't allow for new evidence to be submitted, just what was presented at circuit court.
So what the Supreme Court would be doing is considering those issues that were raised during the trial and considering the way that the trial court ruled on them.
And in this case, a jury awarded Kager's family with $800,000, money Booth says they may not see until the appeal process is resolved. Now, Boynton, the deputy city attorney, told us yesterday after court that they will have to brief city council first before moving forward with requesting an appeal. Chinu 13 News Now.
Get ready to start sharing the road. The Norfolk City Council unanimously voted to pass an ordinance tonight that will allow golf carts on some neighborhood streets. We told you about the idea this evening on 13 News Now. People in Ocean View pushed for the ordinance to help alleviate parking issues. The ordinance only lets golf carts on certain streets, and there are rules. You need a driver's license and specific insurance coverage. For all of those details, go to 13newsnow.com.
New at 11, every firefighter in Currituck County will now get new life-saving equipment thanks to a grant from FEMA. The county got nearly $1 million to buy new self-contained breathing apparatus. They're considered a lifeline for firefighters. Before this grant, crews were sharing the devices and using different types that weren't all compatible. Now every firefighter will use the same kind and have their own.
Right now, Navy pilots are making history on board a Norfolk-based aircraft carrier. They're flying the new F-35C fighter jets with a carrier air wing for the first time on USS Abraham Lincoln. The stealthy aircraft are expected to set the U.S. apart from other countries when it comes to combat. Officials can't go into too much detail about the jet's test results, but they say so far, so good.
Landings are spot on, so it's been very easy to operate with, and you know, even when we set alerts like we did this morning, I mean, it's up and ready to go quickly.
Aviators are training on the new jets side by side with older models to simulate real-world situations. The Navy hopes to start using the F-35Cs in February. The Lincoln has got some new company out at sea. The Truman Strike Group left Naval Station Norfolk this morning. Nearly 6,500 sailors originally deployed in April but came back early last month. During that time, crews worked on maintenance on the ships and aircraft assigned to the group. The Truman Strike Group will complete dual carrier operations with sailors on the Lincoln.
A law meant to protect military service members from predatory loans could be in jeopardy. The Military Lending Act went into effect in 2006. Now the Trump administration is reportedly considering rolling it back. Military advocate organizations are sharing their concerns.
Don't make it easy for them to target the military, you know, because there's also a lot of young people, and sometimes they get into binds that they don't know what to do.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which has made sure companies abide by the law, argues it doesn't have the authority to continue that oversight.
New tonight, a Virginia school district's plan to arm its teachers is against the law. That's the word from State Attorney General Mark Herring. Lee County Public Schools wanted to train a select number of teachers to carry firearms. They argued it was a better option than spending the money to hire more school resource officers. In a statement, Herring reiterated that kids deserve a safe learning environment, but he said adding guns and unqualified armed personnel doesn't achieve that goal. He went on to say it could have dangerous consequences.